Stay yours, people.
Hello art family, and thank you to all the new subscribers. The generous people at Kraftgeek sent me one of their travel easels to test out and make a video with, and I thought it would be fun to do a little sketch in the backyard. So this is the easel out of the box. It has little clips that pop out to hold your canvas, and then the legs pop open on the sides and back and then twist loose on the sides. It can go very tall if you want it to go very tall. It doesn't tilt, so it might be more appropriate for opaque painters, especially if you attach something to the legs that you can use as a sort of shelf. But in terms of stability, it has metal that kind of holds the legs together, so it's quite strong and lightweight, and it measures around 20 inches. You could have it fit into your backpack, or kind of probably sticking out depending on your backpack, or be able to carry it separately in a small kit instead of having to carry a bulky box. It twists out to about 65 inches and has a screw mount on the top, so you could attach lighting or some kind of camera if you wanted to. Alright, so let's take a look at using it in the field, so to speak. I'm out in my backyard here painting the chickens, and I thought it'd be fun to do a gouache sketch of kind of a moving target to talk a little bit about sketching things like chickens or animals. And also dealing with direct sunlight, kind of cooking the paint quickly, and the light changing every 10 minutes or so. So because of the time constraints, I'm going to immediately jump in with the paint here. I'm using about 80% water or so, just to get something down to knock things back from white. I'm closing one eye and squinting at the chicken coop in front of me, and I'm trying to visualize this thing as a cube in 2-point perspective going back. So if you just visualize it, we're looking at a cube like a Lego brick or a shoebox, and we're looking at the corner of that, and the points are going back. So I want to make sure that my drawing all conforms to that, and every object in this conforms to a type of cube in that 2-point perspective. So you can imagine a kind of grid, visualize a kind of grid, and then place this object inside that. So I'm toggling back and forth between visualizing the cube. So when I'm doing the pots in front of the coop, I'll be visualizing the cube there, how the light is hitting that cube. When I'm doing the rails or the entire structure, I'm visualizing the cube, but I'm toggling back and forth between that and what I'm doing now, which is thinking more of the negative shape. So I'm asking myself, what's the lightest thing happening here? The problem with painting on location is that the light changes rapidly, and in the course of doing this sketch, cumulatively it took about 40 minutes, and if you're interested you can watch the full-length demonstration on Patreon, but cumulatively I think this sketch took about 40 minutes to do, and in that time there was about maybe 3 or 4 completely different lighting scenarios on one object. It's just because the sun is sort of slightly moving, so these cast shadows are changing and growing and moving, and as I'm sketching you can kind of see that happening in the background as we sort of cut through the various sample beats. You'll see that cast shadow on the interior growing, and the sunlight is going to move around and start illuminating the front face of the chicken coop. So we don't have a lot of time to luxuriate in detail. So our process for the whole thing is going to be big to small. Let's go very, very big, and then we will subdivide smaller and smaller within that. So I'm trying to think about the negative shape. I'm trying to build up those values, starting with what's my lightest and kind of blocking those shapes in. And then I can start with a middle kind of gray, which is what most of the image is in. When I was first interested in this, you always want to go back to comparing your values. So we're always close one eye and squint comparing the values. So if you close one eye and squint, even now, looking back at the chicken coop, look how light the white painted areas are, and then the interior, just the lower part that's not getting hit by the cast shadow. Look how light that is compared to everything else. So we can be a little bit bold in knocking everything down from white because I really want to harness this light effect as quickly as possible. So I'm going big to small, and I'm doing the same for the pots, and then I will do the same for the chickens. Big shock. That's the process for everything, at least in the way I'm thinking about sketching. Big to small. Big, we're blocking in the value statement. You can see in that transition now the front face is illuminated, but I've already committed to this sort of lighting scenario, and the chickens are moving constantly. So with chickens, it's kind of nice because they have treats, so you can throw down some treats if you're trying to get them to hold an area. But I will say this about chickens and other animals. The kind of convenient thing about most animals, especially I find chickens, they really only have like 3 positions. So if you take some time to do some small loose sketches, you can get used to they have a standing kind of prostrate position, a head down position when they're pecking the ground rather, and then various turns of that, rotations, and they really only kind of have 3 pieces. So they have a big bulb of a body, a head which is quite small, and that's the biggest mistake, is painting the head too big, and then a little tuft on the tail end. So big to small, we go big with the silhouette first, blocking in. The Orpington is yellow, so I'm using yellow ochre. The Boston red is kind of burnt sienna colored, so I use burnt sienna, and I block in the silhouette of the animal. They sort of do this thing where they scratch, step back, and peck, scratch, step back. So I know I'll watch them scratch, and then I wait for that moment where they peck, and I can get down a little observational note of what they're doing. If you keep watching the chickens, for example, they'll go back to about the same posture. So once I get the silhouette in, I can then break it down into planes. So big to small. Big, the silhouette, then we go top plane for the light, and then side plane, and then the shadow plane. We can divide off like the wings and the neck and things like that, and build out the chicken. And you could detail from there if you wanted it to be more accurate. But we're building a plane language. The top planes are catching light, the planes facing us are catching shadow, and communicating our idea. Well, that's going to be it for this sketch of the chicken coop in the backyard. Thank you so much to Kraftgeek for sending me the easel. It was a lot of fun doing this sketch, and I really like the easel. It's fantastic, and I really appreciate you all sending that to me. And thank you all so much for watching the video. If you like this one and want to see the full length, it's on Patreon. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, happy sketching.